Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Aurélien Orange from the Quarks Foundation, and with Miss Lal, Kaya Lal from the Quarks Foundation. Today we have this quarter-finals match. This is the first one out of the 4 matches, of course, between 2 teams who qualify from the 8th of finals. And this is almost now the 5th match, I think, for the teams, 4th, 5th match, depending on the number of matches in the group phase. So the University of Melbourne in Australia and Prince Sultan University in Saudi Arabia. These 2 teams received the topic a week ago that they prepared during this week, and they will be debating together, against each other, between the teams, in order to get a place among the 4 best teams of the competition for this 2025 edition. So before we move to the topic and to the match, I will ask them to introduce themselves. So I will start with Miss Dana Al Saif in Riyadh. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Dana Al-Saif. I'm a senior over here in Prince Sultan University, and I'm a member of the debate club here representing Sultan in this competition.
Thank you and welcome. We have as well in Melbourne Miss Isabella Sweeney. Welcome.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Isabella, and I'm a second-year JD student at Melbourne University.
Welcome. We have as well in Prince Sultan University Miss Reda Kurdi. Welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Lena Kurdi. I'm a first-year law student here at PSU, also a member of the PSU Debate Club, and I'm really excited to be debating with you guys today.
Thank you, welcome. We have as well in Melbourne Miss Stephanie Brennan. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Steph. I'm a second-year JD student here at the University of Melbourne. Very excited to be here today.
Thank you and welcome. And we have as well a fund member for Prince Sultan University, Mr. Khaled Abdou. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Khaled Abdou. I am a software engineering student at Prince Sultan University. I'm excited to be here, and let's have an exciting debate. Thank you.
Thank you, welcome. And we have finally Mr. Isaac Flake in Melbourne. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Isaac. I'm a second-year law student, JD student at the University of Melbourne. As well as the rest of you, I'm excited to be here and looking forward to the arguments we bring up today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we send greetings as well to the coach. So on the side of Prince Sultan University, we send greetings to Miss Judy Saab, former participant, and as well Mr. Hashim Ashram, former participant, and Professor Sophia Adan, who has been coaching last year and this year. And on the side of Melbourne, we send greetings as well to Mr. Jokic, who has been helping and supporting the team since the beginning of Melbourne in this competition 4 years ago. So now, the topic which was sent to both teams was legal systems must be recognized ecocide as an international crime with clear liability and compensation mechanisms. So now we share my screen for the allocation of positions, and we'll know all of us which side will get each team. So now you should see my screen with the double flags and logos of your respective institutions. There are 2 chances to be in favor and 2 chances to be against, so 1 for each institution. So I'll activate now the randomizer. The team will be in favor. We start with the first introduction. So for this match, that will be the University of Melbourne will be in favor of the motion, and will be starting with the first introduction, while Prince Sultan University will be against the motion. So concretely, it means that the University of Melbourne will defend the position that legal systems must recognize ecocide as an international crime with clear liability and compensation mechanisms, while Prince Sultan University will defend the position that legal system must not recognize ecocide as an international crime with clear liability and compensation mechanisms. So now you will have 5 minutes to review your notes, and then we'll hear the introduction by the team from the University of Melbourne. Here we are done with 5 minutes of preparation, so I stop sharing my screen. So before we start with the introduction by the team from the University of Melbourne, I remind you that my colleague Miss Kaya Lal will have the yellow card when it remains 30 seconds, and the red card when it is time is up for the speaking time. So now I give the floor to the team from the University of Melbourne for your introduction. You have 4 minutes, sorry.
Good evening, esteemed judges, members of the opposing delegation, and to my fellow colleagues. My name is Isabella, and today my colleagues and I will be arguing in favour of the motion. The reality is that ecocide, by its very nature, is a crime that requires the intervention of an international court if it is ever to be effectively dealt with, and therefore it must be recognised as an international crime. Our delegation adopts the increasingly widespread definition of ecocide as being those unlawful or wanton acts committed with the knowledge that they are substantially likely to cause widespread or long-term damage to the environment. This includes acts such as mass deforestation, severe land or water contamination through mining, and oil spills. This definition has even been welcomed by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. What is clear from this definition is that ecocide, severe environmental damage, is a serious issue of the highest order, and it must be recognised as an international crime in its own right. Our support for the motion is for two critical reasons. Firstly, that establishing ecocide as an international crime will allow the ICC to prosecute the specific actors who commit ecocide. And secondly, that compensation is critical if the crime of ecocide is to be taken seriously by those perpetrators. It is also a crime for which monetary compensation is a legitimately useful remedy. Turning to our first argument on the idea of liability. It is well established under Article 25 of the Rome Statute that the ICC only has the jurisdiction to prosecute individuals. But this is not a limitation. In fact, it is the perfect way to effectively target the actual perpetrators of ecocide. Acts of ecocide are commonly occurring across state borders and committed by non-state actors. The motion would allow these leaders and directors of groups and companies committing ecocide to be held liable and brought before the ICC themselves. What we have seen is repeatedly groups fighting acts of ecocide, their struggle to obtain justice through domestic court systems. To give an example, last year a group in Madagascar filed an unsuccessful lawsuit in the UK against Rio Tinto, which is an Anglo-Australian mining company. And its mining projects in Madagascar had contaminated local waterways with lead and uranium. What we see here is the struggle of victims of ecocide to litigate in domestic legal systems, because ecocide is an inherently international issue in which plaintiff and defendant are often from different jurisdictions. Our second argument is that ecocide is a crime for which monetary compensation is a legitimately useful remedy, and the mechanism to facilitate payment of that compensation already exists. To return to the case of Rio Tinto in Madagascar, let's say even if the company's directors were to be found guilty by a UK court and imprisoned, this wouldn't provide any sort of relief to those who suffered. What would be needed is financial compensation to remedy the damage to infrastructure. There is already an established fund into which money could be paid and held on trust for that group, state, or region affected by ecocide in a given case. This is the UN Environment Fund, which has been used to support numerous environmental reconstruction projects already. Its membership includes all 193 UN member states, and it has uncontroversial support. We argue that it can and should be adopted to support remediation works for the crime of ecocide as well. To conclude, just 5 days ago, on the 14th of May, the EU Convention on the Protection of Environment through Criminal Law was adopted, and it is now open for signature. Therefore, what we can see from this is that the international community already recognises that ecocide is a grave and serious issue that threatens the peace and security of our global community. That is the aim of the Rome Statute in the ICC. And therefore, the ICC must be given jurisdiction over it to enable the prosecution of these individuals who continue to destroy the world's environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the introduction from Prince Sultan University team. You have as well 4 minutes.
Honorable judges, esteemed opponents, and distinguished audience, we stand in firm opposition to the proposition that legal systems must recognize ecocide as an international crime. While we do fully acknowledge that the urgency of addressing environmental destruction, criminalizing ecocide under international law is neither legally sound, politically viable, nor practically effective for these reasons. First, there is no universally accepted definition of ecocide. Second, more effective alternatives already exist within civil environmental law. And third, criminalizing ecocide is legally unworkable due to the problem of intent. First, there is no universally accepted definition of ecocide. International criminal law operates on clarity, not moral outrage. The Rome Statutes, Article 22, enshrines the principle of nullum crimen sine lege. It's also a principle that exists within Islamic law. لا جريمة ولا عقوبة بلا نص. There's no crime without a clear pre-existing law. Courts must provide fair notice and legal certainty. Yet proposals for ecocide rest on ambiguous terms like wanton, severe, and widespread environmental harm. In Lubanka and Katanga, the ICC made it clear that vague standards threaten due process and open doors to selective politicized persecutions. While we must not compromise core principles of criminal justice in the name of moral urgency. Second, there are far better alternatives in civil environmental law. Criminal law is not a catch-all solution, and focusing on it can risk undermining more practical options for accountability. For example, the Paris Agreement commits nations to reduce emissions through binding national plans, not criminal charges. Similarly, the Aarhus Convention empowers citizens to access environmental justice through procedural rights. The EU's Environmental Liability Directive imposes strict liability, not prison terms, for ecological damage. And in the case of Chevron versus Ecuador, civil litigation, despite enforcement challenges, allowed communities to seek environmental redress. These frameworks need reinforcement, not a replacement. Third, criminalizing ecocide would be legally unworkable due to the problem of intent. International crimes like genocide or war crimes hinge on a specific mental element. Mens rea. Article 30 of the Rome Statute regarding the mental element codifies this, demanding both intent and knowledge for individual criminal responsibility. But environmental harm is rarely deliberate. It's often cumulative, indirect, or rooted in scientific uncertainty. How do you prove criminal intent behind rising carbon levels or deforestation driven by economic need? There's no ICC precedent for a harm as dispersed and multi-causal as climate change or biodiversity loss. Attempting to criminalize it would invite judicial overreach and collapse under evidentiary burdens. Criminal ecocide risks turning industrialization itself into potential crime. A nation building infrastructure, mining resources, or developing farmland without malicious intent could suddenly face criminal persecution. That's not justice, that's overreach. Development, when done legally and responsibly, should not carry the shadow of an international indictment. In conclusion, while the goals of proposition are noble, their method is misguided. International criminal law is not the right tool for this challenge. The answer lies in international cooperation, robust regulation, and civil accountability, not imposing a vague, politicized, and ultimately unenforceable new crime. For these reasons, we oppose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we are moving to the first rebuttals. We'll hear first the rebuttal by the University of Melbourne. You have 2 minutes.
I will begin speaking in 3, 2, 1. I would first like to thank the opposing delegation for their arguments. However, we'd like to assert that we disagree with them on 2 points. First, it has been said that there is no universally accepted definition of ecocide. As my colleague has pointed out, there has been a 2021 independent expert panel on the legal definition of ecocide, which is indeed supported by the UN High Commissioner on Human Rights. This definition goes beyond just a simple definition of ecocide. It echoes what is in the Rome Statute and the other crimes, such as crimes against humanity. It sets out a whole lot of definitions and breakdowns of specific elements of the crime. We'd next like to disagree that criminalisation is not the way to go about addressing ecocide as a serious crime. We can't view the act of criminalisation and prosecuting crimes in a vacuum. We need to look at the fact that criminalisation provides a significant deterrent factor. So making ecocide an international crime where there is widespread and severe damage means dangers will be better researched and more consideration put to ensuring these things do not happen. No reputable businessman wants to be seen as a criminal. This will have wide-reaching implications for, as the reality is, that a lot of the perpetrators of these crimes will be massive transnational companies. They will have to consider their shareholders. They won't want to take massive risk when they're thinking of new projects. So in this vein, we disagree that it will stem industrialization. And we also note it will be unlawful even when it is undertaken with the authorization of a state. This goes to what my colleague has said, is that it really focuses on the individuals. This has also been supported by the European Council in the 2024 First Their Direction and now in the Convention on Ecocide. So criminalisation really marks the line of what is morally permissible in our international system. We need to make sure that the environment is recognised as holding massive value and its destruction is criminalised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the first rebuttal on the side of the Prince Sultan University. You have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I would first like to thank the propositions for their points, and I would like to comment on the point about the definition that my colleague clearly stated wasn't agreed upon internationally. The UN High Commissioner welcomed discussion on a definition for ecocide. But why is the proposition depending on a definition conveyed by an expert panel made up of 12 lawyers that met remotely only 5 times, when we are discussing an act on a global scale? To add an entirely new crime to an international statute like the Rome Statute, we need a concrete, clear, agreed-upon definition. Second of all, the proposition mentioned that the current system isn't working. We would like to disagree. Existing legal frameworks already provide the mechanisms to address environmental harm. The solution is not creating a new international crime. There's a lot of international environmental law that allow for state accountability via diplomacy and sanctions. Corporations have already paid massive settlements for environmental destruction in the past. The BP Deepwater Horizon Corporation was fined $65 billion and paid it in response to their cause of one of the largest environmental destructions that our planet has ever seen. This demonstrates that corporations are already being punished for destructive behavior. And if the current system isn't broken, why should we waste time and resources to fix it? Especially when this can be counterproductive. As highlighted in our point about criminal intent, it is impossibly difficult to prove that a nation had the mens rea required for an international crime for an act such as ecocide. The very core of ecocide is committing an act with knowledge of the environmental destruction that it will cause. How does the proposition propose to attribute this kind of intention to every entity committing environmentally destructive acts? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we are moving to second rebuttals. We hear first the second rebuttal by the University of Melbourne. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, and I'll begin speaking in 3, 2, 1. We thank the opposing delegation for all the arguments they have set forth, and it's really given us a lot to work with and discuss here. However, we agree with several of the points that they have put forth. First, we would like to speak about the alternatives that they proposed, such as the existing framework under the Paris Agreement. Whereas the Paris Agreement gives a good aspirational acknowledgement of environmental issues, we believe that putting these issues in the context of criminal law will help to ensure that key actors, such as individual non-state actors, are actually held accountable and liable. The Rome Statute preamble mentions that part of the purposes of criminal law is to support individual states in their own domestic criminal law systems in misconduct, which should be criminalized. Hence, we believe that as the motion states, to put forward a criminal law inclusion of ecocide, this would be supporting those states, though, which are unable to or find difficulty in criminalizing these own offenses and carrying them out within their own domestic legal systems. Hence, the Rome Statute can help to support those nations around the world in this endeavor. Second of all, we would like to speak about the practical aspect that the opposing delegation has talked about. The opposing delegation has mentioned evidentiary burdens and challenges, and we acknowledge that. This is true because we're working in a complex global system, and the International Criminal Court has faced these issues of evidentiary challenges. That's why cases in the ICC often take as long as they do because of this. However, that is no reason to throw out the entire system. In fact, with the help of this system, we can improve the environmental the addressing of international ecocide issues. Second of all, we believe that there are exceptions to criminal law as stated in the Rome Statute, and hence we don't need to be punishing small farmers for their work, and we can find ways to include exceptions in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the second rebuttal on the side of Prince Sultan University. You have 2 minutes. So, who is going to speak?
What good?
Yes, Miss Kurdi. Yeah, we missed your start. So I think you have to restart.
Okay, yeah. I can restart. Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay. So, thank you to the proposition for their points. I would like to start by saying that the Rome Statute is not ratified by powerful nations like USA, China, and Russia. They are not ICC members. So what good would it do to criminalize ecocide if the world's leading nations wouldn't submit to that either way? Second of all, the proposition mentioned the Paris Agreement, which we did not bring up in any of our arguments because, as the proposition stated, it is not legally binding. Only the procedural parts are legally binding. But there are a lot of other international environmental conventions and treaties that treat this issue, that are legally binding, and that already have the frameworks necessary to treat this issue. Just like the Convention on Biological Diversity, the AUS Convention.
Yes, there is an issue.
Is that it is an issue.
Yes, there is an issue with connection for Miss Kurdi. Miss Kurdi? Miss Lal, at which time did you stop?
52 seconds.
Okay. Let's wait for Miss Kurdi to have better connection.
Would this be better? It is an international issue. What we are saying is issue
Yes.
for existing international laws and not an international.
Miss Kurdi, yes, there are two Miss Kurdi at this moment. Can you hear me, Miss Kurdi?
Okay, I took Dana's laptop to be able to use it. Would this be better?
Yes, it will be better. So, Miss Lal, you said 50, 52?
52 seconds left. Yes.
Yes. So,
okay.
Please continue when we told you it was starting to be difficult.
Okay. Sorry. I apologize for this inconvenience. We agree that this is an international issue. What we are saying is that it is an issue for existing legal frameworks and existing international laws and not an international crime, because making it a crime is the most counterproductive thing we can do on a journey to mitigate environmental destruction. And if the international community already recognized ecocide as a criminal issue, why have so many attempts to criminalize it failed? In order to actually get to the root of this issue and actually prosecute and punish the people that are committing ecocide, making it a crime is not the answer. The answer is working on the international frameworks that already exist, applying the international frameworks that already exist. The ICC, like the proposition mentioned, takes years to process one case. We're not saying we should throw the entire system away. We're saying that specific issues need specific frameworks. Not every single issue should be a crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we are moving to the conclusions. I give the floor to the team from the University of Melbourne. For your conclusion, you have 2 minutes.
I thank the opposition for their discussion of this important issue. I would firstly like to reiterate our delegation's support for the motion on the two grounds that, firstly, establishing ecocide as an international crime and enabling the ICC to prosecute the specific individuals who are committing these crimes is necessary, as this can rarely be achieved at a domestic level, and this is due to the inherently international nature of ecocide. Secondly, that compensation is critical if the crime of ecocide is to be taken seriously by its perpetrators. It is also uniquely a crime for which monetary compensation is legitimately useful and for which we already have frameworks to support. I acknowledge that the opposing delegation would seek to argue that the motion is problematic because it's not politically viable or practically effective. However, as my colleagues have highlighted, ecocide can be clearly defined, and there are clear political benefits to establishing ecocide as a crime, as it will operate as a deterrent for other actors, and that criminal international law can address environmental harms in a way that non-binding climate agreements cannot. The Rome Statute was only developed in 1998, and it should not be viewed rigidly. In the preamble to the Rome Statute, it states that ideas of peace and security and well-being of the world are what it should protect, and this is such a crime that should be upheld to be included in the ICC, as it falls within these ideas of what the ICC's jurisdiction is there to protect. Crimes of ecocide are of the very serious nature that the international criminal system was established to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the conclusion on the side of the team from Prince Sultan University. You have 2 minutes.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Okay, honorable judges, esteemed opponents. When we talk about the future generations and they asked us, what have we done to protect the planet? Are we going to say that we upheld justice or that we wrote it in panic? Today, we made it clear. Criminalizing ecocide sounds bold, but it's built also on shaky ground. There is no clear, agreed definition. Terms like wanton or like widespread do not belong in criminal courtrooms. As seen in Labanga and Katanga, vague laws lead to unfair trials and also to selective prosecutions. Article 22 of the Rome Statute, even the Islamic law, tells you that we demand clarity. There is no crime without a clear law, without a clear definition. We've also showed you better alternatives. When we talk about civil frameworks like Paris Agreement and the Aarhus Convention, hold polluters accountable without criminal charges. The Chevron case proves that justice doesn't require prison charge or prison sentence. It requires a system that works. Criminal law demands intent, but most environmental harm is complex, indirect, and often unintentional. We cannot risk turning legal development into a crime. You cannot just build justice at the same time you're breaking the law that hold these laws together or hold these justice together. Let's strengthen what actually works, not to try to build something that probably will never work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we just heard the two conclusions, the conclusion for both teams. So from now you are not under evaluation by the judge. So now you can rest, you can breathe. We'll ask for your impression and your opinion on this match, on the preparation, the topic and the performance of both teams. And then we'll be doing a bit of networking before closing this session. So I would like to ask Miss Al-Saif, what do you think about this match?
I think it was fun. It was we already focused a lot on climate change in our previous topics. However, this really, I delved into it to a degree that wasn't there in the previous topics. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, and going against these people was great.
Thank you very much. Miss Sweeney, what do you think about the match?
I think for similar reasons, I quite enjoyed the new lens that we were looking at climate issues, because we have had a few motions on that before, but getting to look at it from an international criminal law perspective was definitely a challenge, which I enjoyed. I also found it quite interesting
obviously we prepare for both sides, and I thought some of the arguments that the other team brought up weren't things we anticipated, or I hadn't anticipated, and I thought that was really interesting that they were able to come up with arguments that we didn't.
Thank you very much. Miss Kurdi, what do you think about this match of preparation and performance of both teams?
I think both teams had really good points. It was really interesting because I feel like the topics are getting more and more specific, and ecocide was the most specific one that we've gotten yet, and it was interesting to research about it. And also, international criminal law is like something that we'd never delved into before, so it was really, really interesting to read about it. Like more so than I've discussed in classes, and I think it was a really fruitful debate.
Thank you very much. Miss Brennan, same question.
Yes, I'd like to echo what everyone else has said. In terms of, we've looked at a lot of climate change, so interesting to, as we go deeper and deeper into the specific crime of ecocide or propose to make it criminalized or just as a concept, being careful to draw those lines between what is climate change and then the carve out of ecocide was really interesting. Yeah, and again, the criminal aspect of this one was something that was really, really interesting and hasn't really been touched on in this competition. And we actually haven't done our criminal law unit yet. So it was a bit of a challenge for us to look at another law in another lens. So it was, a really exciting match.
Thank you. Mr. Abdou, same question.
Well, to answer this question, actually, I would say it was tough. It was very tough because it's like you're discovering something. You're seeing the environment from a perspective that you haven't think about before or you haven't thought about before. Talking about the eco side, not like it's comparing into genocide and the existing things that's already happening. It was tough, as I mentioned before, and it was fun actually because it's actually something that I don't have a background about. It's something that I even don't study because I'm studying software engineering. But after all, or overall, it was pretty good.
Thank you. Mr. Flake?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this round and really enjoyed hearing the arguments that that your team put forth. I think that seeing things from the different lenses and different approaches that we took was great. I also really liked the research phase of this, learning about things so recent as in like this month, the European Parliament is taking action on this issue, but also getting greater insight from my research on the international criminal law system. I think it really raised questions of what actual benefit are we hoping to gain by making things international law rather than just focusing on whether it be like a domestic solution or things like that. And so I really enjoyed both the research and the actual debate as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So before we move now to the networking, I want to tell that of course ecocide and here connected to the ICC, possibly the different statutes, something which is very much into the, let's say, debate here in The Hague. I've been hearing and I've been reading as well several authors writing about it, and as well associations, so advocating. So that is a question, a debate which is very long, and maybe one day there will be an outcome about it. But yes, if you continue in this topic, you will see that yes, there are a lot of different opinions on it. So now I give the floor to Miss Lal for the networking part.
Thank you. I think first of all, I just wanted to say good job, everyone. It was really lovely hearing your arguments and it was really intense. So great job. But I think moving on to a more natural and more fun part of the debate. So the first question is, what is a professional dream you would like to achieve in the coming years? So starting off with Prince Sultan University, could we hear from Mr. Abdou, please?
Well, for me, a professional dream, actually, I'm aiming to be a consultant in the future. So if I say that it's a dream and I can dream, I would be a consultant at BCG, which is the best consulting firm we have here in Saudi Arabia. And I hope that happens in the future, near future, let's say. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you for sharing. Could we hear from Miss Sweeney, please?
That's a big question. I haven't given that too much thought to that. I think a professional dream of mine would be, I mean, I do really want to work in the international legal space. I'm not sure exactly what that would look like yet, but yeah, working in that area.
Interesting, international legal space. Thank you so much. Could we hear from Miss Alsef, please?
For me, honestly, I would really like, I'm really interested in working in some sort of international law, more specifically like human rights. So I would really enjoy working in a human rights commission at some point in my career. That would be really amazing and would be really fit for my interests that I've had for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, and lovely to see the similarity for international law there. Could we hear from Mr. Flake, please, from University of Melbourne?
Yeah, so I'm still working on it and trying to figure out which way I want to go. But something that's always really been with me, I've got lived experience in a few different countries, and I think it'd be great to be able to be part of a work that helps to build relationships between private sectors and public sectors between different countries. And I think that there's a great potential for building political relationships and other aspects through that as well. So that's sort of a dream, I guess you could say I have, and I'm still working on which approach I want to take for that. So thank you.
Awesome, and I think the debate is a great way in which you're meeting new people. So thank you for that. Could we hear from Miss Kurdi, please?
I mean, on theme with the debate, I'm really, really interested in criminal law. I mean, it's the reason I went into law in the first place. So a professional dream would be a criminal lawyer of some sorts. I think looking into criminal cases is something that I've always liked researching about, and to be able to defend or prosecute in the future, that would be a big dream of mine.
Thank you. Could we hear from Miss Brennan, please?
Kind of on theme with the debate as well. I really want to work in the environmental law space, which has made the last few weeks of the last few rounds of the debate competition really exciting for me. I specifically want to look at strategic climate litigation domestically here in Australia, in which we can use other kind of points of law like tort law, human rights law to strategically protect the environment, which is something that's really interesting.
No, definitely. I think it's great that the debates are helping you with your future dreams. So good job, and I wish you all the very best on that front. So the next question is related to a semester abroad or potentially a master's degree. So if you could spend one semester abroad at any university in the world, which one would you choose and why? So perhaps this time starting off with the University of Melbourne, could we hear from Mr. Flake, please?
I was actually afraid you'd call on me first because I actually don't have any clue. There's a number of great universities around the world, and I'm afraid that I actually can't answer this one at this point. I've had thoughts about maybe practicing in the States at some point in my life, so maybe somewhere there. But aside from that, really can't choose at this time. But good question, got me stumped.
It's all good. Thank you so much. Could we hear from Miss Alsef, please?
For me, I haven't given it a lot of thought, though I do want to go abroad for a master's, hopefully in international law, like I mentioned. But the specific university is something that I'm not really sure. One of my sisters took a master's in Edinburgh, so maybe there. I'm not sure if they offer international law, but I remember she loved it so much, so maybe there. I'm not sure.
Thank you so much. And I mean, if you're unable to decide on a particular university, maybe a country is also great for your answer. So coming back to Melbourne, could we hear from Miss Brennan, please?
This is a really tough question. I think I would like to study at NYU, just it's always, it's a big name in popular media, but also in Australia, I feel like we're different than a lot of universities. It's more common to live at home and just go to university locally than it is to kind of have that kind of college life. So it would be interesting to go to a university where like that fun college life is, the norm, but also NYU is such a prestigious institution in law, so it would be a real privilege to be able to study somewhere like that.
That sounds exciting. Thank you so much. Could we hear from Miss Curdy, please?
I had no issue coming up with this answer because I've had my like heart set on Oxford ever since I was a kid. So I really hope that one day I can do a master's or a PhD there.
Thank you, and I hope that works out. Next up, could we hear from Miss Sweeney, please?
So our uni runs a bit of a program with there's a Centre for Transnational Legal Studies in London, and it's basically where a bunch of different universities come together and they run different subjects that are specific to international law, and it's run out of King's College, that campus in London, which I think is really beautiful, and I'd like to travel and live there for a bit and get to study just international law for a whole semester. So that's where I'd like to go if I could.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And finally, Mr. Abdu, please.
Okay, since we are talking about dreams and abroad and studying in another university, let's talk about studying in another university and also changing the major. I would like to study medicine in Ireland. Why I have chosen Ireland specifically, University College of Dublin, because I know studying medicine is something difficult, and having it in Ireland, which is, I guess, one of the best countries to teach medicine, it would be a great experience for me. My friends have been to Ireland for a semester abroad, and since they came back, they haven't stopped talking about it. So, yes, I think yes, I would study medicine in Ireland.
That is a very interesting answer. Thank you so much for sharing that. And definitely a dream. So, keep us updated on that front. So yeah, thank you all so much for sharing. It was really lovely hearing about your future aspirations, and yeah, wishing you all the very best. Handing it back over to Professor Larange. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and it's very good to see the diverse, let's say, perspectives and different opportunities that you would like to pursue. And indeed, don't hesitate. You have to dare taking some steps which are unusual sometimes, because this is how you actually make your own career personality as well, to show that you do new things that other people would not think about. And it's always good to travel in general, just to see different perspectives as well. So now, the result of this match will be, of course, issued as soon as the three judges that we thank a lot for their time and consideration for this level already, so 3 experienced judges will be giving during the next days. You will receive in your email box, of course, the results with the grading rubrics from the judge. And as soon as we have the results, we'll propose you, of course, for the winner of your match, the day and time and 7 days, of course, to prepare the semi-finals, and that will be against the winner of the match between Tilburg University and Paris Panthéon-Sorbonne University. So that will be, 7 days after you will receive already the information about the topic for the semi-finals. Another element, again, remind you that there will be this networking session, and as well with elements of information and advice on how to apply for jobs and internships. For example, here in the different courts, as the ICC, for example, you could work on the prosecutor side, OTP, as we say here, Office of the Prosecutor, or the defense team, or simply at the organization of the whole court, but the other courts as well, international organizations based in the Netherlands or in the Benelux in general, in Belgium as well. So yes, we'll give you some more information about it at the end of next week for all the students who participated to this competition. In any case, I would like as well to thank the two student associations supporting you, the PSU Debate Club, the Prince Sultan University Debate Club, and as well the Melbourne Law Student Society, the MLSS. So both of you, collectively have been supporting the teams since the very start in this competition some years ago. And we thank all of you, and we send greetings if some of you are watching this match or rewatching the match. So many thanks again. That was the first quarter-finals. Don't hesitate to watch as well the match of your possible opponent. And there will be, of course, the ranking for the World League of Debate in the egg format issued at the end of this competition. We are working on this as well. So many thanks again, and we keep in touch. Have a great rest of the day and evening.